And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're talking about a game called Seasons. Now, I really wasn't sure what to expect when I saw Seasons, the title. Okay, I like the seasons, although not that much. That's why I live in Florida. We have one season. But, you know, the art did look pretty. And when I opened the box, I was just wowed. Tremendously cool custom dice, really neat fantasy style artwork on the cards. The whole game looked cool, but we all know that games that look cool don't necessarily mean they are cool. So let's see if it is or not. The game comes with 5 dice of each color, but you're only going to use one more than the number of players. So I have it set up here for a 3-player game. And what we have here is a board, and what this board does is it shows the 12 months of the year, and each month of the year is one of the 4 different seasons. And each season has an element that's most closely associated with it, although not necessarily tied to it. These dice are the focal point of the game, and each round, one of the players is going to roll the dice. But before that happens, I want to take a look at a player's board and some of the cards that are involved in the game. Each player has a board here, and this board has a couple things on it. First of all, you have a track here, and this track shows you how many cards that you are allowed to have in front of you at any point in time. So at the beginning of the game, you're not allowed to have any cards in front of you, but you can have a maximum of 15 over the course of a game. You also have another track here. These are points that you will lose at the end of the game. You don't have to lose any points at the end of the game, but there are 4 special things that you can do over the course of a game. Change 2 elements to another, transmute for an extra 1, move up 1 on this track here, or take 2 cards instead of 1. No big deal. But every time you use one of those, and you can use it 3 times, you will lose points at the end of the game, but that may just help you win. So it's up to you to when you want to use those or not. As the game is going to progress, you are going to get different energy tokens, and they're going to be of the different types of energy: earth, fire, air, and water. And you have spots for 7 of them as the game will progress, and you'll be collecting them and putting them here on top of your player board. So that's what your player board is used for. What you're going to be trying to do over the course of the game is to play various cards. So let's take a look at some of these cards. There's 2 copies of every card in the deck. So here we see a Vampiric Crown. Now, at the end of the game, it's going to be worth that many victory points, so this one's worth 0. To put this card in front of me, I need to play 1 water and 1 air. And then it will give me a special ability, which lets me discard or draw a power card, gain as many energy tokens as the number of prestige points of the discarded or drawn card. Prestige points is here. And there's many different ones. Like I said, there's 2 of every type in the deck, but there's all different sorts of cards. Some of them are familiars, the orange ones. Other ones are special things, Potion of Power. And they can provide you with lots of points, or a few points, or a great special ability, or not. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get 9 of these. Now, you can take them randomly or draft them. The game even comes with, for new players, comes with predetermined sets that you can give players, help them get in the game. But you're going to keep 3 of them in your hand, but you're also going to put 3 of them down, and you're going to put tokens on top of them, and you can't take those into your hand until the year 2 and year 3. And the way we track years is in the middle of the board. As this piece moves around, every time it goes from 12 to 1, we move up, and when it goes around from 12 to 1 in the 3rd year, the game is over. All right, with that out of the way, let's go over now how a round works. A round, we roll the dice, And then whoever is the start player for that round is going to choose a die. And then another player chooses a die, and the other player chooses a die. The last player always has a choice between 2 dice. You'll take that die, put it on your player board, and then in turn order, each player will do whatever their die lets them do, and then play any cards from their hand, or use any abilities on any cards that they have on the table. So what do these dice mean? Okay, they're all the same, the different dice, well, although the dice are different, but well, that doesn't make any sense at all. But the green dice are the same as the yellow dice. They're just different symbols on them. One of the symbols is draw a card. Okay, another symbols will show the different elements. Like this one shows 1 water and shows 1 earth. So I will take one of each of those. While this one shows 2 earth. If there's a star on it, that means I get to move my track on my player board, which allows me to have more cards in front of me. So that's also useful. And if there's a number on it, I will simply get that many victory points, or minerals as they're called in this game. And over here we have a track to keep track of your victory points. It goes all the way up to 99, and then at the top 199, 299. So it's easy to keep track of your points over there. And then there is if you notice, there's a ring around this one here, and that's a transmute symbol. And on each year, each phase, each season, you will be able to change some of these energy tokens you have into crystals, victory points. As you can see, in the last 3 months of the year here, you will be able to change water for 3, while in the first 3 months here, you will be able to change water only for 1. So depending on which month of the year you're in, depends on how much you can transport. But if you have a lot of these extra resources, you can transmute them. And there are also cards that allow you to get bonuses when you transmute them and so on. But each month of the year, there's always 1 that transmutes for 3, 1 that transmutes for 2, and 2 that transmute for just 1. But again, you might do that to get rid of the excess or so on. So that's what the transmute does. So that's what all the different sides do. And there's different things on the different sides, combos, but you might have noticed that there's dots. Well, the one die that's not taken, let's say this die is not taken, that's how many months ahead the piece around the outside of the board will go. So you can kind of control how fast the game will continue. You can continue to play the game, and at the end of the game, you will add up any points that you have earned during the game for minerals you transmuted and so on, or points that you've stolen from other players. There's a lot of cards that are in your face, attack and steal from other players. And then you look at all the cards in front of you, and you get that many points. Any cards that are left in your hand are worth -5 each. And you also lose points if you use any of these special abilities down here. So you have to make sure if you do take cards, you have to play them, and you will have 9 cards at least over the course of a game, so you'll want to play them also. Whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. Seasons is a game that I wasn't, like I said at the beginning, sure of how I thought about it, but I really enjoyed it. It was just easy going at the same time, lots of different choices to make. Which die are you going to take? You always had a choice which dice. Some dice, and then to take the different resources and build cards and use those cards for special abilities. There was a good deal of take that in the game. You really can go after other players. A lot of the cards were very much in their face. I very much liked the drafting aspect of the game. I liked taking the cards at the beginning and picking which cards you're going to start with, as opposed to just randomly drawing them. But both ways work fine. It's a fairly light game. The time on the box here says 60 minutes, and I think that's fairly accurate, even with 4 players. Now, you could complain and say, well, in 4 players, you're going to get messed over. There's going to be a die. You're forced to take a die that you don't want. That may be true, but you get to go first another turn. And the rolling the dice, never sure what's going to come up. Different strategies. I mean, we're not talking tons of different strategies, but you can try to transmute lots of items and get lots of points that way. Or you can try to get out cards with huge points or steal points from your opponents. So there's different tactics that you can take to the ending. So I was really impressed with this one. I'm actually going to hang on to this one because it gave me a unique feel that I haven't played in other games. The die selection thing kind of reminded me of War of the Ring, but the game itself just flowed very smoothly and easily, and with the different cards that you'll get, because you won't get that many cards over the course of a game, each game will play out somewhat differently, and so that seems a lot of fun with a good deal of replayability. Seasons.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.